Most people think tech billionaires are geniuses who can do no wrong with their vast fortunes and cutting-edge insights. Then there are these tech titans who prove that coding skills don't translate to common sense, and that the fastest way to destroy a tech empire is to let success go to your head. Buckle up for a masterclass in how to turn digital dominance into devastating disaster. 1. Marcus built a $2 billion social media empire, then decided to revolutionize dating by creating a platform where people could only communicate through interpretive dance videos. His app, Dance Match, required users to express personalities through choreography, with AI analyzing dance compatibility for romantic matches. The app crashed when it attracted mainly professional dancers who couldn't find dates, and confused users who couldn't dance their feelings into romantic connections. 2. Jennifer created a $3 billion e-commerce platform, then pivoted to selling only perfectly spherical products because she believed the future is round. Sphere commerce featured ball-shaped furniture that rolled around rooms and round clothing that didn't fit human bodies. The company rolled into bankruptcy when customers couldn't use spherical TVs or ball-shaped kitchen appliances that defied basic functionality. 3. Carlos built a $4 billion software company, then created a communication platform where users could only express themselves through mathematical equations. MathSpeak required algebraic formulas for emotions and calculus for ordering coffee, with Carlos convinced that math would eliminate all human misunderstandings. The platform failed when people realized saying "I love you" shouldn't require differential equations, and casual conversation shouldn't need advanced math degrees. 4. Sandra founded a $1.8 billion tech startup, then created an app that motivated trees to grow faster through positive notifications sent to their root systems. Tree motivation featured underground sensors sending encouraging messages like "You're doing great, Oak," to plant networks. The app wilted when scientific testing revealed trees don't have data plans, don't respond to digital pep talks, and grow based on sunlight rather than encouragement. 5. Antonio created a $2.5 billion gaming company, then pivoted to developing video games exclusively for pets, featuring touchscreen games for cats and puzzle controllers for hamsters. Pet gamers included specialized paw-operated joysticks and treat-dispensing reward systems for successful gameplay. The company collapsed when most animals ignored the expensive equipment, and pets preferred simple toys over digital entertainment, requiring opposable thumbs. 6. Michelle built a $3.2 billion cloud storage company, then decided to literally store data in actual clouds using weather modification technology. Sky Storage embedded information in water droplets and retrieved data through precipitation analysis. The company evaporated when weather proved impossible to control, customer files got corrupted during rainstorms, and data retrieval required predicting weather patterns with impossible precision. 7. Kevin founded a $1.7 billion fintech company, then created Good Vibes Coin, a cryptocurrency backed entirely by positive thoughts and daily affirmations. The digital currency gained value through meditation logs and random acts of kindness, with Kevin hiring spiritual advisors to develop kindness-measuring algorithms. It crashed during a negative news cycle when Kevin realized financial systems need economic backing rather than just positive energy. 8. Lisa created a $2.8 billion AI company, then developed software that provided relationship counseling for household appliances having emotional conflicts. Object therapy mediated disputes between refrigerators and washing machines while offering marriage guidance for kitchen appliances. The platform short-circuited when Lisa discovered inanimate objects don't actually have relationship problems, and users were paying premium prices for software that talked to their toasters. 9. Charles built a $4.1 billion cybersecurity company, then decided to teach people ancient martial arts to fight computer viruses in VR environments. Cyber karate featured virtual training where users could physically punch malware and kick Trojans. The company was defeated when cybersecurity experts explained that computer viruses can't be karate chopped, and effective cybersecurity requires technical solutions rather than martial arts skills. 10. Patricia founded a $1.9 billion transportation company, then created a ride-sharing service exclusively for trips to fictional destinations. Fantasy rides connected passengers with drivers specializing in routes to imaginary places like Narnia and Hogwarts. The service disappeared when drivers couldn't navigate to locations that don't exist. Passengers became confused when rides ended in empty parking lots, and transportation works best when it goes to real places. 11. David created a $3.5 billion hardware company, then designed computers that could only be operated while users stood on their heads, believing inverted computing enhanced creativity. Upside Down Tech featured upside-down keyboards and inverted monitors, with David hiring yoga instructors as ergonomics consultants. The company flipped when users couldn't type while doing headstands, reading inverted screens caused headaches, and computer ergonomics shouldn't require circus performer abilities. 12. Angela built a $2.3 billion social media company, then created Birthday Book, where users could only communicate with people sharing their exact birthday. The platform restricted interactions based on astrological compatibility and birth date matching. It collapsed when most users found themselves in tiny communities with very few potential connections, and meaningful relationships require more than shared calendar dates. 13. Benjamin founded a $1.6 billion data analytics company, then developed software that analyzed the emotional states of numbers themselves, providing therapy for depressed statistics. Numberfields offered counseling for anxious algorithms and emotional support for mathematical concepts. The company didn't add up when Benjamin realized numbers don't have feelings, mathematical concepts don't require therapy, and data analysis works best when focused on accuracy. 14. Carmen created a $2.7 billion e-learning company, then decided to teach all subjects exclusively through interpretive cooking. Cooking School featured calculus lessons through cake decoration and history classes via period recipes. The platform burned when students couldn't learn mathematics through meal preparation, educational content became inedible rather than understandable, and effective learning requires clear knowledge transfer. 15. Stephen built a $3.8 billion telecommunications company, then created SmokeNet, a communication network based entirely on internet-connected smoke signals. The platform featured AI-enabled fire pits, transmitting messages through controlled smoke patterns. It went up in smoke when wind conditions disrupted messages, fire departments responded to constant false alarms, and smoke signals were impractical for indoor use. 16. Monica founded a $1.4 billion productivity software company, then created applications that only worked during full moons, believing lunar cycles enhanced focus. Moonwork features task management tied to astronomical calendars and workflow based on lunar energy. The platform faded when users could only access productivity tools a few days each month, and business schedules became dependent on astronomy rather than deadlines. 17. Frank created a $2.1 billion streaming company, then decided to produce content exclusively for audiences of one person, creating unique shows never shared with anyone else. Party of One featured individual entertainment experiences that cost more to produce than entire movie budgets. The platform went solo when production costs became economically impossible, and viewers missed shared cultural experiences that make entertainment socially meaningful. 18. Rachel built a $3.3 billion logistics company, then trained carrier pigeons to deliver USB drives, combining traditional delivery with modern data transfer. Digital pigeons featured GPS-tracked birds carrying weather-resistant storage devices. The company flew away when pigeons got lost, drives were damaged by weather, and email proved faster, cheaper, and more reliable than trained bird delivery. 19. Gary founded a $1.8 billion gaming company, then created video games that could only be played completely underwater. Aqua Games developed waterproof gaming systems and submerged entertainment environments. The company sank when players couldn't operate controls while holding their breath. Waterproof technology frequently failed, and most gamers preferred entertainment that didn't require scuba certification. 20. Diana created a $2.6 billion AI company, then developed Plant Psychic, software that predicted the future emotions of household plants. The platform analyzed plant behavior to anticipate when houseplants might feel lonely or stressed. It wilted when Diana discovered plants don't have emotions that can be predicted by artificial intelligence, and plant care is based on biological needs rather than psychological states. 21. Kenneth built a $4.2 billion cybersecurity company, then decided to protect digital data by storing everything in handwritten books, believing analog storage was immune to cyber attacks. Book storage employed armies of scribes to manually copy digital files onto paper. The company closed when handwritten data proved vulnerable to fire and water damage. Data retrieval took weeks instead of seconds. And digital problems weren't solved by abandoning digital solutions. 22. Brenda founded a $1.5 billion financial services company, then required all banking transactions to be conducted through interpretive dance performances. DanceBank used motion capture technology to translate choreographed movements into financial commands. The platform stopped dancing when customers couldn't remember complex dance sequences for different transactions, and elderly clients couldn't perform required movements. 23. Harold created a $2.9 billion cloud computing company, then decided servers should be operated exclusively by trained monkeys, believing primate intelligence was superior to automation. Monkey Cloud employed thousands of primates with banana-based reward systems, managing computing infrastructure. The company went bananas when server uptime became unpredictable due to monkey behavior, and computing infrastructure depended on animal psychology rather than reliable technology. 24. Melissa built a $3.7 billion e-commerce company, then created Future Shop, selling exclusively products that didn't exist yet. The platform featured detailed listings for fictional items and theoretical products that might be invented someday. It disappeared when customers couldn't receive products that hadn't been created. Payment processing became complicated for non-existent items, and successful commerce requires actual deliverable products. 25. Victor founded a $1.3 billion software company, then created applications requiring specific emotions to function, with software that only worked when users felt particular feelings. MoodSoft featured productivity apps activating during happiness and communication tools working during sadness. The platform crashed when productivity became dependent on mood management rather than task completion, and users couldn't access needed software when emotions didn't match requirements. 26. Nancy created a $2.4 billion social media company, then required all communication through mathematical proofs and scientific equations. Proofbook featured relationship updates expressed via statistical analysis and personal posts shared as research papers. The platform failed when social interactions became academic exercises, requiring advanced degrees, and networking became impossible for people without mathematical backgrounds. 27. Donald built a $3.1 billion telecommunications company, then required all phone conversations to be conducted in rhyming verse. RhymeTime featured AI monitoring that disconnected calls when users failed to maintain consistent rhyme schemes. The platform lost reason and rhyme when emergency calls became impossible during crises that didn't rhyme, and business communication was limited by poetry requirements. 28. Rebecca founded a $1.7 billion transportation company, then created vehicles that could only travel in perfectly straight lines. Straight line transport manufactured cars and buses that couldn't turn, limiting routes to straight-line distances between destinations. The company went off track when vehicles couldn't navigate existing curved road systems, and transportation became impossible in cities with curved streets. 29. Gregory created a $2.8 billion AI company, then developed PhilosophyBot, artificial intelligence that spent processing power debating existential questions with itself rather than helping users. The AI engaged in endless internal arguments about consciousness and reality, while users couldn't get practical assistance. The platform lost its mind when Gregory discovered that artificial intelligence became less intelligent due to excessive self-analysis. 30. Donna built a $4.5 billion data storage company, then decided to store information as interpretive sculptures, converting digital files into physical art installations. Sculpture storage required customers to interpret artistic installations to retrieve their data while employing artists to create sculptural representations of files. The company couldn't shape up when data retrieval became impossible without art interpretation skills, and storage costs included art gallery rental fees. 31. Arthur founded a $1.9 billion gaming company, then created multiplayer games for teams of strangers who weren't allowed to communicate during gameplay. Silent teams featured cooperative games requiring perfect coordination between people who couldn't speak to each other. The platform went quiet when cooperation became impossible without communication, and gameplay became competitive struggles against communication restrictions rather than engaging entertainment. 32. Linda created a $2.2 billion productivity software company, then required all work to be performed while users actively juggled physical objects. Juggle work only functioned when motion sensors detected active juggling during task completion. The platform dropped the ball when users couldn't type while juggling. Workplace productivity became dependent on circus skills, and effective productivity tools should eliminate distractions rather than create physical challenges. 33. Walter built a $3.6 billion cybersecurity company, then required users to solve jigsaw puzzles before accessing accounts. Puzzle security featured account access dependent on completing increasingly difficult puzzles, with authentication requiring physical dexterity rather than passwords. The platform fell apart when security became dependent on puzzle solving rather than secure authentication, and elderly customers struggled with fine motor skills required for access. 34. Gloria founded a $1.6 billion AI company, then created HaikuBot, artificial intelligence that communicated exclusively through traditional Japanese poetry. The AI responded to technical support requests with 3-line poems and conducted business through syllable-restricted verse. The platform lost its rhythm when users couldn't get clear instructions from poetry-based responses, and business communications became confusing due to verse restrictions. 35. Eugene created a $2.5 billion logistics company, then used trained dolphins to carry waterproof packages across bodies of water. Dolphin Post featured marine mammals equipped with delivery containers and specialized handlers coordinating aquatic routes. The company went underwater when dolphins occasionally refused to cooperate with delivery schedules, and package recipients struggled to receive deliveries that required meeting dolphins at water locations. 36. Marjorie built a $4.3 billion social media company, then created Spacebook, where users could only post content while experiencing zero gravity. The platform required posting from actual weightless environments, limiting users to astronauts and space tourists. It never got off the ground when social networking became physically impossible for Earthbound users, and content posting became extremely expensive due to zero gravity requirements. 37. Leonard founded a $1.4 billion financial services company, then conducted all transactions through interpretive mime performances. Mime Bank required customers to perform silent gestures for desired transactions, with professional mime artists as customer service representatives. The platform remained silent when banking became impossible for people who couldn't interpret silent performances, and customers couldn't communicate complex financial needs through mime gestures. 38. Barbara created a $2.7 billion e-learning company, then taught all subjects while students rode roller coasters, believing adrenaline enhanced learning retention. Coaster School delivered educational content during theme park rides, with curriculum designed around gravitational changes. The platform went off the rails when students couldn't focus while experiencing motion sickness, and educational content became impossible to follow during high-speed rides. 39. Russell built a $3.4 billion cloud computing company, then required servers to operate exclusively during solar eclipses. Eclipse Cloud featured computing infrastructure that only functioned during rare astronomical events, with data processing scheduled around cosmic cycles. The platform was eclipsed by reality when computing services were only available during rare eclipse events, and cloud computing became dependent on cosmic timing rather than business needs. 40. Vivian founded a $1.8 billion streaming company, then produced content that could only be watched while viewers were sleepwalking. Sleepstream featured programming designed for unconscious consumption and viewing experiences requiring users to be asleep while watching. The platform sleepwalked into failure when viewers couldn't remember watching content they'd consumed while unconscious, and entertainment became impossible to evaluate when audiences were sleeping. 41. Theodore created a $2.6 billion AI company, then developed indoor weather, systems that predicted weather inside individual buildings with meteorological precision. The AI forecasted temperature and humidity changes within homes and offices, providing detailed living room weather reports. The platform couldn't predict its own failure when customers realized they could check indoor conditions by walking to different rooms, and indoor weather predictions were less accurate than simple thermostats. 42. Dolores built a $4.7 billion e-commerce company, then sold only products customers had to assemble from raw materials they gathered themselves. GatherMart featured product listings with maps to material locations and instructions for harvesting components from natural sources. The platform couldn't gather success when shopping became a survival activity rather than convenient commerce, and customers couldn't gather materials needed for complex products. 43. Tyler founded a $1.5 billion telecommunications company, then required all phone calls to be conducted while users were swimming. Aquacall featured waterproof communication devices optimized for underwater conversations and aquatic communication protocols. The platform sank when users struggled to speak clearly while swimming, waterproof technology frequently failed, and phone service became impossible for people without access to bodies of water. 44. Stephanie created a $3.9 billion software company, then required users to solve crossword puzzles before accessing any features. Puzzlework locked productivity tools behind increasingly difficult word puzzles, with software access determined by puzzle completion speed rather than subscription status. The platform couldn't solve its own problems when productivity became dependent on crossword abilities, and users couldn't access needed software when struggling with puzzle clues. 45. And finally, there's Maxwell, who built a $5.2 billion technology conglomerate, then created LifeBoss, a system requiring his personal approval for every user decision, from career choices to breakfast selections. The platform featured AI trained on his personal preferences, requiring users to submit all life choices for review by artificial intelligence that thought exactly like Maxwell. His empire collapsed when users realized they preferred making their own mistakes rather than living according to a billionaire's algorithmic personality, and his company became a lesson about why personal freedom can't be optimized by tech moguls who think their success qualifies them to control everyone else's life decisions. Here's the brutal truth about tech billionaires. Most prove that being smart about technology doesn't make you smart about everything else. These digital moguls discovered that business success in one area doesn't translate to wisdom in all areas, and that the quickest way to lose a tech fortune is to believe your own press about being a visionary genius. The real disruption was the common sense they never developed along the way. Want to know the secret to keeping tech billions? Stick to what you actually understand. But if you decide to revolutionize industries you know nothing about, maybe don't bet your entire fortune on fever dream ideas that sound like they came from a tech bros ayahuasca retreat. Subscribe if you want to keep your money longer than these tech titans kept theirs.